Hi, and welcome to this new Smode Academy session. So today is a very particular day since we are going to make a big announcement, which is that Smode does support the Knotch blocks. And who would be better than the Knotch lead developer to show this? So nobody. So we are really happy to welcome Matt here with us.
Hey,
Hello, Matt. And as well,
hello, thank you.
yeah, hello, Matt. Thank you to accept this invitation, and I'm really happy to have you with us today. And welcome also to Harrison, which is a product specialist from Notch team, and
Hello.
welcome, Harrison.
Hi. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thank you for the
Yeah,
invitation.
thank you for being with us, and you are going to show us amazing things and how it works. So thank
Yeah.
you for being here.
Yeah. The notch side of
So
things.
yeah, it's very exciting to see these two pieces of software coming together, and I really believe that Notch and Smod are made to be like the best software friends in the world. They are super complementary, and we will try to show you this today with Matt. And yeah, basically, Notch creates the best 3D real-time effects you can dream of, and Smod is a super good host to put all the things together, combine, make your final recipe, the still images, the video footages, the notch blocks, the substance materials, the FDX files, the shader toy shaders, the ISF shaders. Take all of this, put it together onto the stage, either simulate it or the actual stage, and that's basically what you can do with Smod. So it was very natural for us to integrate the notch blocks. Some were still thinking that we were competitors, but absolutely not the case. And we do really believe that our software are complementary and made to work together. So maybe Matt, you can.
Yeah, absolutely. Notch is really focused on the content, making really good quality content using a real-time workflow. And we want to give you the best possible rendering quality in real time. We have a really nice path tracer, really nice loads of tools for 3D and 2D content creation. Like a really powerful particle system, support for all kinds of 3D import, the best lighting features. We wanted to provide everything that you needed to make content, but in a real-time workflow. And then with Smode, we have a really powerful compositing and loads of output and media server features that enable you to take the Notch content and put it on the stage and make best use of it. So the two systems are really complementary. There's an awful lot of power to control that content on the Smode side, and it seems really easy to use as well. So it's a very exciting collaboration between the two.
Yeah, it's very exciting, and also because I think we already have a lot of common users. So I'm quite
Mm.
new in the Notch users group, but I can recognize a lot of users I know already there, and I think they understood very quickly those common users, all the interest they could have from combining the two things, and now more than one will be very happy with this super combination. So yes, and also, we can mention that we have some like common background with Matt, since both of us are demo makers. So demo making is the art of creating audiovisual programs, and like all these 3D effects we can see in Notch and also a bit in Smud. They all are grounded from this demo making community, and I'm really happy now that there are some mature software like Smud and Notch that take all this technique that exists since a while and bring them to the industry into efficient workflows and practical workflows for productions. So,
It's true. And I mean, the demo scene was making generative content before generative content existed. But this was back in, from the late 80s and early 90s, people were using code and real-time graphics creatively to make content. And we both, I think, both Francis and myself, we both learned a lot from that background that we brought into our own pieces of software. There's a lot of experience from our years of demo making that have gone into making these tools.
yes, absolutely. And yeah, by the way, SMOD is the acronym for Smod Demo Engine, Smod Media Oriented Demo Engine. So from the start, it was thought as a demo engine, and I believe that it is the same for Knotch, who's because I can see Demolition FX, which is the name of the demo tool. I guess.
Yeah. Knotch originally started too as a demo engine, and is like that's where we learned how to do. Like we learned how to develop a workflow by using it for our own use. So it's how how you develop something and make it work.
Exactly. So I think there is a big common history, and both of us with Matt, we understood the idea of visual music and the fact that we need to handle the visuals, approach them like we are approaching music. It should be much more instinctive and intuitive than it is with the non-real-time software. And I think we actually share a lot of common working basis, and it's very exciting therefore also to collaborate and simply bring the best of all worlds together in the best interest of the users. So that's, I think, our common the common goal we have.
It's a common attitude. I think is really good.
So yeah.
There's something else we should mention, actually.
Yes.
One other thing we should mention is that one other thing we share in common is that both Smode and Knotch are using CodeMeter for the dongle encryption.
Okay. Yeah.
And this has a really nice advantage that you can run the same. You can put your Smode license on a Knotch dongle, or you can put your Knotch license on a Smode dongle if you want. And actually, for Knotch, Knotch is now offering we're offering free learning licenses if you already have a CodeMeter dongle. So if you have a Smode dongle already, you can just grab a learning Knotch license, install it on your dongle, download Knotch, and start learning.
Exactly. So don't hesitate to contact us, and we will explain you how to do this.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a very good news. And also, of course, on the other side, if you have a Knotch dongle, it will be very easy for us to put a Smode license onto it. So,
Useful.
I think we can start putting our hands into the software. What do you think, Harrison? Are you ready?
Yeah, good to go.
I have Harrison here. I was going to demo. I have Harrison here to do the dirty work of actually demoing Knotch. Very nice. So Harrison is going to take over now and show you just what Knotch can do, or some of what Knotch can do.
And maybe before we start playing with Knotch, we have the video to show about the Knotch Meister. What do you want to do?
Yeah, let me introduce this a bit, actually. So we started running a contest. We've done it once before, and we decided to do it again because in these times of the coronavirus, we thought it would be good to give the community something fun to do. So we decided to run the Knotch Meister competition. And the goal of the competition is to give you a simple theme, and you can go away and make a Knotch project about this theme. And then all the entries are submitted, and they're now available for public voting. So you can go on the Knotch website now, and you can vote for your favorites right now. It was a really fun thing. There was some really inspiring and interesting entries that show full range of what people are doing with Knotch. Both some were rendered just to video, so they may not run real time. They may take as long as they like to render. Although many of them use the real-time workflow, so they were quite quick. And then some are interactive, and there's some really creative pieces. Some people made small games. They made all kinds of crazy stuff. And it really shows the versatility of the community out there. So I think we have the video now. We can play the video showing the highlights of some of the pieces that were done on the video rendering side, and the interactive side is going to be available in a week or so. So shall we run the clip? Yeah. Yeah. Have we got the audio? So go to the Knotch website and vote now. The first prize is that the winner gets to be called the Knotch Meister. So it's definitely a prize that's well worth winning. So go and support.
Absolutely. And I believe, can you download the DFXs as well?
You can download the DFXs, so you can,
Yeah.
if you're curious about how any of them are done, you can just grab the source files, load them up, and pick them apart yourself.
Cool.
Right, I think it's time we pass over to Harrison and let him get 30 in Knotch.
Cool. Yeah. So throughout this demo, obviously, we're going to show off the Smode side of things, but just to give you a background onto the Knotch blocks that you are going to see. So we have two layers here. We have our image 2D workflow. So if you want to do iMags or anything to do with any video content, and then we also have our 3D scene as well. So firstly, let's go into our 2D image, and don't worry too much about it. It looks probably there's a few nodes in here, and all what's going on here is that we have a particle system that is currently basically doing an overlay on top of the actual image itself. Obviously, we are using a video for our example, but you can do live feed from Smode going into this effect. So what you want to do is, once you've done your particle system or any type of iMag effect that you're doing, you then want to be able to basically input your live feed in Smode. So what you have to do before that is, in your video source, you need to go into your video here, and then you have an array of question marks, and these question marks basically allow you to expose those parameters. So then those parameters you're able to see in Smode. So what I do is I go to the question mark where it says video. I then expose the property, and then within this, I can change the exposed name. So if I have multiple iMag effects, then I can make it a lot more organized, and then I know, if I have one camera feed, I want to do one thing, and another camera feed to look at another one, then this is definitely the best way to go about it. So I just press OK, and now that is exposed. And if I look in my exposed menu here, you will see that I have my video source is exposed. So that's pretty straightforward when it comes to 2D workflows, and pretty much the same thing when it comes to also 3D workflows. Excuse me. We have our 3D model here. We have our Formula One car, which is running in real time. And what we have to, let's say we wanted to do some sort of XR or any movement between our 3D camera, we wouldn't use just a normal camera. We will use a node called an exposable camera. Now, exposable camera is exactly what it says. It exposes the camera, but instead of doing that in just a normal camera, you can just expose one parameter instead of doing multiple in the attribute settings. And this will basically allow you to change the position, the scale, rotation, pitch, etc. So as you see, I already have it highlighted. That means it's already exposed. So, and you'll notice there it's ticked with the name exposable camera values. And that's pretty much it. So now I can then go into Smode, and if I wanted to connect my Smode camera into my exposable camera, which you'll see later on, this will basically allow you to do so. And then one more thing before you get ready to go, you just go to Project, Compile Block for Media Server, and then put the name in, press OK, and wait for the block to compile, and then go into Smode and upload it into Smode, and you're good to go with your exposable properties. So that's really it when it comes to the Knotch side of things. Like Matt said, you can learn all this on our website, especially with all the content side, and also the exposable and the exporting side a little bit more in detail as well. So yeah, that is the Knotch side.
It's so this is really, it means you can use all the power of like the Knotch, like the 3D engine in Knotch. You can just get that stuff into Smode and control it with the Smode camera really easily, and you'll see that in a second. I should also point out that there's a full set of learning resources on our website, including like a full essentials training is now online, free to access. So you can just go on the website, grab yourself a learning license to stick on your Smode dongle, and start learning Knotch right away, going through the essentials training. and you'll be up and running and making all kinds of stuff in no time.
Okay, thank you very much. I
Should
think
we go into Smode?
yeah. We are going to continue with a few slides, I think, which are ready on the server. Yes. So that was the part of presentation of Knotch for Smode user. And of course, I'm going to present Smode for Knotch user. What is Smode? It's an integrated media server and real-time compositing software. So what does this mean? It's as in opposition to the classical media servers, because the field of media servers was built on the idea of automating the playback of videos, like the very first media servers were manual things which received an order and pushed the play button of the recorder. So that's really the grounds of the classical media servers, and they are not the same as our grounds, because what we started with was the idea that in order to work images on the stage, we had to be able to composite them in real time. And this is in order to make it much more easy, like to decompose the content into several pieces and make any ASCII change by the artistic director, for example, make it immediately in a matter of seconds and have it displayed on stage. And in order to have this, like an interface like After Effects, let's say, but in the same time connecting to 20 video projectors, we had to create a new type of tool that didn't exist yet, and which is both things in the same time. So a media server, this is one part of Smode, but a real-time compositing software, this is another part of Smode, and Smode is actually most of the time doing these two things in the same time simultaneously. So here are a few references of things we did with, or things users did with Smode recently. So this is only a very little selection. Of course, there are many, many shows, especially TV shows, concerts, and performing art shows. But yeah, here you can see a few examples. So Smode is being used a lot on TV shows because they have to deal with constrained time and get the best they can in limited time. And this is typically the moment where you need Smode. Also, it's being used in a lot of concerts, big concerts. So here we see a little image of the Milan Farmer show, which involves more than 100 different screens, motorized parts in the stage, feedback, etc. Everything that can make a show complex. And then, yeah, it's also strongly used in performing arts. As soon as you have humans on stage, you have an advantage to have Smode because it will enable you to adapt things very quickly. And yeah, like retake the colorimetry, the distortion of the images, or the precise timing is what we do all the time with Smode. And the big advantage is we always have the result on screen immediately. We also see a quick example of an AV installation with 6 layers of semi-transparent LED screens, and Smode has some primitives in order to deal with 3D volumetric content, so you can do this type of things. And the last example is a massive show in China where they asked us if it was possible to video map the mountain, and since it required a bit too many projectors, we ended up controlling a massive lightning installation. So this photo is taken by a distance of 5 kilometers, just to give you an idea of the stage. So basically, the idea of Smode is that we are doing kind of real-time After Effects with any sort of stage. And yeah, it can be from a single video projector in your cave up to the full mountain in China. So it's a very powerful host for real-time compositing. And now you can host your Knotch blocks into this powerful environment. We will see just after that the Knotch blocks can be imported in 3 different ways, either as 2D layers or as 2D modifiers or as 3D layers. So we will illustrate each case just after. And also compared to some other hosts, I think it's good to mention some of the strengths of Smode. So in particular, Smode has a very powerful timeline system. This is one of the big strengths of the software. You have a main timeline that can create any number of auxiliary timelines. You can put time markers, launch actions when the time marker are crossed. launch sub timelines from the main timeline, let them run in parallel. You have also a very advanced queue system that enables to create loops very easily. So in terms of linear and non-linear animation, Smode is really super powerful. And also, of course, the big interest of Smode is to work on the stage, because Smode is not made for creating rectangular videos. It's made for creating stages. So you either work on the simulated stage or on the actual stage. But yeah, right. And yeah, maybe also it's very important to mention this. So we just are deploying a new pricing model. So basically you get whole Smode designer for 300 euro per year. And this includes all the features except that the video inputs and outputs are watermarked. And then when you need to unlock the watermarks, you pay 100 euro per month per input or output channel. And also, if you need blocks of 4 channels, you can have them for 350 euros per month. So that's our new model, and it's online now, so don't hesitate anymore. And let's switch to Smode now. So here is my Smode. So we prepared a little bit just before the live some fxdll files, which are the files we get once we have exported to a media server from Knotch. And the first thing we are going to do is simply to import a Knotch block as a 2D layer. So I just created a new compo with the Ctrl-N shortcut. And the way to import a media into a compo is simply to drag and drop it. And when we drag and drop it, yeah, it's automatically recognized as a 2D layer in this case. And I have a standalone player, which is, I have a transport, which is the usual thing inside Smode. And with this transport, I can either select play standalone, and it will create a little player such that this layer moves alone. But the other option is not to do this, but to drag and drop the layer into the timeline. And then it will be slave of the timeline. So I can select the length of my layer here and simply seek into the timeline. So the seek has some limitations which are inherent to the generative nature of Knotch. So we cannot go backward in the general case. But if everything is time-coded in Knotch, you will be able to fully seek. So that's one layer controlled with Smode. Of course, it can be composited with other layers. So I'm not really an artist, so I will just show the principle of it. So now I just created a checkerboard layer, for example, or I can take this layer and put some modifiers from Smode onto it, like now I'm blurring for it, for example. I can, yeah, basically do whatever I want with this layer. It's a normal 2D layer inside Smode, so we can mix it with still images, with videos, between multiple Knotch blocks, etc. The second thing we can do is to import the Knotch blocks as modifiers. So let's start with a simple still image, the one I always use. So this is my favorite test image. And now let's create a Knotch modifier onto this. So here is one which is already ready for me. And I simply drag it onto the layer and it becomes a modifier. So now it's loading the Knotch block. So I need to wait a little bit. You can see the red cross, which shows that the graphics card is currently busy. But I can already create my standalone player. And here is the modifier. So it directly modifies my Smode image. And as for any modifier inside Smode, we can create masks. So first of all, we can manipulate the amount of modification, the percentage which is here. So if I want to only 50%, oops. And now I'm less modifying, merely not modifying, etc. So this is the first thing we can do, like on any Smode modifier. And oh, it's a bit difficult to manipulate through TeamViewer. Sorry about that. And the other thing we can do is mask the modifier. So for example, now I'm using a circle mask. I put some feather on it, and the modifier only applies inside the circle mask. Another very powerful type of masks we have the image where the notch modifier will be applied. And again, we can very quickly create a feather. So like all this is very basic stuff inside Smode we do all the time. What we also can do is include the notch modifier into a chain of modifiers, a larger chain. So for example, now I'm using a polar coordinate just before the notch modifier, and after the notch modifier, maybe what can I do? No idea, sorry. So vibrance to increase a bit the colors. And yeah, it's just like a modifier. You can also combine it with the ISF modifiers, for example, which are embedded into Smode. So we really have a lot of those. And yeah, it's like Matt and brought a product specialist with me. But anyway, I hope you get the idea of the modifiers. And then I need to show you a last thing, which is very interesting, which is that you can import a notch block as a 3D layer. So in the general case, depending on what has been exposed, Smode will propose you the different types of way to import the notch block. So if you want to be able importing a block as a 3D layer, you need an exposable camera like Harrison showed you just before. And once you have this, you can import the block, and you can see the icon is a bit different because now the notch block is directly displayed into the rendering pipeline of Smode without being rendered to a texture. And now we can see the beautiful car from Knotch inside Smode with the camera from Smode. So it integrates very naturally into the 3D environment of Smode. You can see it, yes, with different angles and so on. And also something which is very nice is that you can use this with the special cameras from Smode. So for example, you could use a stereo camera. So by default, we have the left and right eye side by side, but we can change this in this setting here. Now it's using, yeah, like the stereo camera, and we have some strange clipping behavior, but anyway. And another one which is really nice is the spherical camera. So let's make it current and move it slightly on the side. And now this is an image which is ready for the VR. And if you change the format to Dome Master, you will be able to directly project this into a dome, like we saw previously in the Smode Academy sessions dedicated to domes. So right now the resolution is a bit low, but I think we can improve this changing this parameter. Yeah. So by the way, I can show you very quickly how to create different point of views and switch between them. So let me create this camera like a view from behind. Now I duplicate this camera and create another one from here. And then you can simply use the make current button and switch very easily from one cam to another. So you can see it's very natural. And also, since we are in this 3D space of Smode, we can play by compositing Smode native content with Knotch content. So for example, I'm going to create a box inside this same space. And now the main limit you need to understand is that they are in the same space, but we don't have yet the depth information that comes from Knotch. So we already discussed this a lot with Matt, and hopefully it will be coming soon. But in the meantime, we need to explicitly composite things together. So one way to do this is, for example, to pre-compose with Control-Shift and C the Knotch 3D layer into Smode Compo. And now we can see that we have the Smode block above the Knotch Compo. So they are in the same space, and as long as one is fully in front of the other, it will work perfectly nice. And for the rest, hopefully we will have the dev buffer information coming soon into Smode, and then we will be able to really composite things in a non-trivial way. So let's repeat this box a little bit. And yeah, now we see it's really in a consistent 3D space. So I think that's it. Let me check quickly. Yeah, I think I have one last thing to show, because right now we just did compose into Smode. But as I told you previously, the main interest of Smode is to work with the stage. And in order to show this, we made this little project. So Smode basically deals with compositions on one side and projects on the other side. And a project is the complete environment. So it's based around the pipeline. In this pipeline, you define different content maps, so regions to store content. And then all these content maps will be linked to the 3D stage, so which is made of different LED screens in this case. This is our stage. So for each LED screen, you can directly put the pitch, the exact resolution in order to work pixel perfect. Inside this stage, you can also create video projectors, surfaces, DMX fixtures. So it's a really powerful environment. You can structure things hierarchically, and then use motors feedback in order to let the stage adapt automatically, etc. So we have a really powerful tool here. And also in this pipeline, you can create what we call processors. And a processor is basically a Smode composition that in some way relies on the current content. So now here we see a previous processor. So it's a compo that have been made in order to make a preview of the content. And for the moment, the content is still this test pattern we can see here. So we can either create some SWOT content like this, or we can put some Knotch content. So let's take the, maybe which one? I think I'm going to take this one. And it just created a 2D layer, which is currently loading. Yes, and now we have this Knotch piece of content going into the main screen of my stage. I can navigate into the 3D of my stage previous here. Yes, and now we are just moving around into the 3D previs. Let's take this maybe as a point of view. Back to the 2D view. Oh. Yeah, sorry, it's quite hard to use Smode with a TeamViewer, but that's the idea. And now we can use all the powerful tools we have in Smode in order to address this stage and combine freely the Knotch contents with the Smode content. So for example, the Ctrl-Shift-A shortcut in order to add new renderers of this layer. And then we can very easily send each copy of the layer to the screens we want. So now I'm sending the same content on the two screens which are above the LED screens, and I can also duplicate this one a last time on the other big screen, which is behind me, I believe. Yes, that's this one. Oh, that was the LED screen seen from closely. And also what we can do is freely combine every renderer with all the modifiers we have in Smode for the best of the visual quality of the shows. So that was it. I think maybe we can show, if we want to try this, a direct connection between the two software. What do you think, Matt and Harrison?
we can try. I think the only thing is we have to keep switching back and forth. But if that's okay, then we can do that. Maybe try and load the Formula One car up, because I think that is currently loaded, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to go back to a simple compo inside Smode to make things a bit more clear on what we are doing. And I'm going to import the Formula One again. And maybe we can, I don't know if Knotch works with a half screen, but we can try to make Smode a bit smaller. Could that work like this?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
okay. And I'll let
clever.
you manipulate.
So let me go in here. Let's see if I can make my window smaller as well.
So be careful, you are not on the same DFX.
Look at that. So now I can live edit any of my Knotch content running in Smode from Knotch, and it can be done from another computer. So all I need to do here is go network connections and just connect automatically, and it brings up the project running inside Smode. So let's just do that. And now here's where things get really difficult, because we are not running, we are running in a tiny little window, but let's just do this. So, whoop. Hang on, let's do post effects. And let's add a glow to the scene. If I do that, then it should be running already in the other window. How do I switch window in here? Oh, there we go. There you go. So I should be able to edit. This is really weird and difficult doing this by
yeah, we have
thing. I don't ever recommend it.
We are not in the best conditions.
Yeah, this is really funny. You can manipulate any of these objects. So I can move. Let's see if I'm actually able to move something. Well, I think maybe we're not editing the same copy that is running now.
You know, this one is one, but I'm not sure.
Maybe there's more than one copy loaded in Smode at once.
Yeah, I think maybe. Yeah, we compiled the block on a different project, I believe. I think that's probably what's going on.
Oh, sorry, I'm a bit lost in my windows. You
want
another one?
I think maybe we should not try and demo this live, because
okay,
really
sure.
I'm all confused about our windows.
We did a lot of beta testing on this, and we even managed to let it work through a VPN from
it works through VPN. So yeah, but this is a very nice, powerful workflow. You can edit all of your Knotch content while it's running live on the screens and while it's outputting. So you can make live changes during rehearsals or while you're viewing the content on the stage, which is obviously enables firstly more than one person to be working at once, which is really useful. Secondly, it means that you can do these creative edits instantly on the stage without having to wait for recompiling or even re-rendering content. So really, it's a very nice workflow for live.
Yes. So I think we showed everything we have to show so far. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are excited as we are about this. I'm trying to check a bit the live chat. I see a lot of things, a bit too much to process right now. But one question is, what will happen after the COVID? Do we still need to pay for the Knotch training license as it was before the COVID? Yeah, that was the question from you, Matt, maybe.
I mean, at the moment, so we are selling the Learning Edition at the moment with a dongle for £59, and this is really the price of the dongle, more or less. It's we're trying to sell this at cost. The free license without the dongle is available ongoing. I mean, nobody knows how long this virus will last. It could be with us a while, so let's not worry about. I'm sure that will continue for a long time.
Okay, thank you for the answer. I'm checking questions quickly. Awesome, yes, I hope it is. Timeline and animation from Knotch was linked with the timeline in Smode. So
Yeah.
yes, both things are linked, absolutely. So which means
Smode just controls the time code going into Knotch. So whatever time you set in your layer in Smode, it will take it into Knotch.
Yeah, so then we had a question about the fact that indeed when we go into this edition mode, when we make a change in Knotch, it immediately appears inside Smode. And also if you expose a new parameter in Knotch, it also will immediately appear as a new parameter in Smode. So it's really a good workflow. And someone observed that we are two crazy devs here, and I agree. So that's nice. It smells good for the future. Yes, it does. And can two people live edit Knotch at one time while the block is in Smode?
You can. I don't recommend it necessarily, but because you will all be fighting each other, but you can. It's probably best to not do that. It's more recommended if you can edit separate blocks at once. That is more sensible sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't all fight over the same block.
And a quick tip is
there's something in the future we're adding in the next version. We are looking to add collaborative network editing, so multiple people can edit a project at once, and this will make it easier to do these kind of things.
And in the meantime, it's already implemented inside Smode, the collaborative editing. So you can connect as many Smode servers you want together in the same session to work on the same project collaboratively. So I'm not still exactly of all the consequences for the Knotch workflow, but at least in Smode, it's totally possible to work collaboratively in live on the same content. Yes.
It's cool.
I just lost the feedback, but I think we are still online, and I see no other questions. Thank you again for coming. Oh, Smode, if Basil can show the Smode interface the last time. No, I lost connection. So the thing I wanted to show the F1 shortcut. So all the integration of Knotch is documented in yes, maybe Basil can show it to us. So you simply select any of the layers and press F1 and access to the embedded documentation. Yeah, especially for the Knotch integration, it explains all the important you need to know about this. So yes, that's it. So I think this is very exciting for the future, and I'm really curious to see what our common users will get out of this. But I'm sure it will be fascinating.
It gives so many possibilities now because there's so much you can do. The overlap between the capabilities of the software just means that you have more options. It's very, very powerful, useful thing.
Exactly, you have more options, and it will be, I'm sure you, the users, will naturally find the best way to combine both things together and find where it is more relevant to use one software and where it's more relevant to use the other, because we all know that for each job there is the good software, and yeah, that's what we want, is to offer you the best solutions.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing for me is I already say thank you a lot to you. So I only need to talk to you about what's next in Smode Academy. So our next session will be Wednesday in 2 days. And I'm very happy to welcome the Vietnamese artist Ly Tan Tung, known as Monkey Tung, and which will show us a number of projects he did with Smode. And in particular, he will come to the recent project that he did with a virtual stage. So welcome the unknown, I think it's called. We will see all of this Wednesday, and waiting for some more feedback of common work. But if you in the next week have very interesting common work showing off Knotch along with Smode, you are of course welcome to do a Smode Academy session. So don't hesitate to contact us for our current users in order to grab the free Knotch license on your Smode dongle, and have fun, enjoy all of this.
Thank you very much for having us on the stream,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
thanks for doing the integration so quickly and smoothly. And we're really looking forward to the possibilities this brings in the future. It's going to be cool.
Absolutely.
And for what everyone is waiting to see what people do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye bye. See you soon.
Great.
Thank you. Bye. Great.
See you later.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.